Hello, Forecaster here, and we are back for episode 35. And this episode, we're going to continue working on this system a bit. So, I tried using lava as a heat source, but it turns out there is something weird going on where when you put the lava down, these will heat up to a bit over 300 degrees, but randomly they'll suddenly start to lose heat even though the lava should be a permanent heat source. So we're going to do something different. So I've made two more refinery blocks, and it seems like I'm going to have to raise the roof eventually, but right now this is fine. So I am going to use a vortex tube instead. So the vortex tube is a real machine. So I'm going to put it here. Now I want it to face this way, and then I want the input to be up. So the vortex tube works by taking air inside and then splitting the air into a hot side and a cold side, thereby heating one side and cooling the other. And as you saw, this side turned red and this side turned blue to indicate the heat and cold, respectively. Now, we want the heat to reach all of these machines here. To do that, we're going to put down compressed iron blocks. So certain blocks work as heat conductors, and compressed iron is one of those. These machines are also heat conductors. The plastic mixer is a heat conductor as well, and there are a couple of other blocks. However, this will vent heat into the air because these iron blocks are exposed, as will the refinery blocks and the thermopneumatic plants as well. So we're going to isolate them, and I'm going to use black wool covers. So any block that doesn't conduct heat will do. So you could surround these with wood, you could surround them with stone, you could also surround them with full wool blocks. Doesn't really matter as long as there is something in the way that is not a block from Railcraft that conducts heat. So by doing this, the heat will be unable to escape into the room, and it will close this system off to the point where there is no loss, which is not super realistic, but I will take what I can. So here we need hollow covers to let the pipes connect. I might need to make a few more covers. Now, currently, this will be a completely lossless system. Now, I don't actually need these covers here, I don't think, because these pipes don't conduct heat, so this counts as a covered side regardless of these covers. I don't need anything here either, but I'm probably going to put something there just to make it look right. However, as you'll notice, this tube is exposed. However, this doesn't actually conduct heat, which is something I hope gets fixed. I was talking to the developer Mine Martin about this, and he said he could link the hot and cold side internally, and make hot air leak from the hot side to the cold side, essentially, and vice versa. So there would be a slight loss with this. Now I'm going to put this heatsink on the cold side, so this will vent. This will prevent a buildup of cold here, essentially. And you don't need to do this currently because the cold doesn't affect the heat. So the cold will just build up endlessly. Because there are no caps currently on hot or cold, so it can be infinitely cold or infinitely hot. This will probably also change eventually, but I'm going to put this heatsink here anyway, because it will probably change eventually. Now I'm going to put this regulator tube module here. Well, that's a bug. Oh well. This should be solid, obviously. Yeah, so the regulator tube module allows you to choke the flow of air or pressure through this little bit here. And you do this by applying a redstone signal. So by default, when there is no signal, whoops, I don't want that. It will not affect the flow at all. When there is a full signal, it will shut off the flow completely, and depending on the signal strength, it will the flow will be choked to a degree. There's a formula, I believe it was in the tooltip of the tube. Yeah, there it is. Because, and the reason I'm putting this regulator tube here is because the vortex tube doesn't turn off. It will continually consume air and continually heat this side and cool this side until the pressure stops. So I want a way to turn this off. And the way currently is going to be a lever. So I'm going to put a lever here. Then I'm going to turn this on. And if we look at Wildeye, you'll see the west temperature, which presumably is that way, is increasing, and this side is getting colder. And if we look at this plant here, we can see the temperature is increasing, and we can see that the compressed iron blocks in there are getting redder as they're heating up. Now if I turn this lever on, the pressure will start to decrease in the vortex tube. It's not decreasing here, and when it reaches near 0, this will stop heating and cooling, respectively. Because you can also see that this side is not building up cold because it's being dispersed by this heatsink, or it's being heated by the heatsink. Now, optimally, if I've done this correctly, when this shuts down completely, the heat will remain in the system and will not disperse. And it looks like that is the case, because otherwise it would be decreasing right now. So we should have a operational refinery, and we should be able to use the processing plants as well. Now, what I want to do is I want to make a universal sensor, which costs some plastic and a bit of redstone, and I want to put in that a block tracker upgrade, which is made like this. I have the materials for that. But I also need a GPS tool, and that costs a diamond, and I don't have any diamonds anymore. I have one that is on the display case over in the hallway, but I don't want to use that. But the plan is that I'm going to put a universal sensor here. Then I'm going to select this heat block or this compressed iron block here with the GPS tool. And when I put that in the universal sensor along with the block tracker upgrade, it will allow me to detect certain things that are going on where that block is. And one of those things is the temperature of that block. So I can set the universal sensor to output a redstone signal when this compressed iron block under here reaches a certain temperature. It will then shut down the airflow to the vortex tube, which will keep the system from building up too much heat. Say when it's over 1,000 degrees. However, because of my lack of diamonds currently, I can't do that. So I will leave this with the lever here, keeping this off, and I will turn the system on when I use the heat. Because otherwise it would eventually use all my fuel to... Oh, it's happening with this too. That's weird. Otherwise it will eventually use all my fuel to make heat, which I don't want. I want fuel to maintain the pressure in these tubes as well. And there was some frame rate lag there. But yeah, so now we have our refinery operational. Let's grab a couple of buckets of oil. And I have been grabbing oil from here to use in my smeltery. So if we can put a couple of buckets of oil like so. And this should be operating. Excellent. We can't see the smoke because we can't see the top of the refinery. Alright, so now we're also, oh yeah, since I made the 2 extra blocks, we now have the last 2 tanks, and we're now producing kerosene and gasoline as well. And we are not losing any products because we have the full refinery. So we're getting we're essentially making this one. So we're getting 10 out of 10. We input 10 fluids units and we get 10 millibuckets out. Alright, so what do I need to do next? I have been busy working with this stuff here, so I haven't been doing anything with the railway. I've upgraded my esky into a freezer, which is a more effective version. Here's my diamond. I've also found a sapphire. I think that's what it is. Yeah, sapphire. I've also upgraded my hobbyist steam engine into a commercial steam engine. I also connected it with framed red alloy wire to a lever on this wall here, so I can turn the engine on when I need it, which is handy. The boiler is pretty much running all the time, and to keep it going, I've also been producing charcoal constantly, which I need anyway for my locomotive. It seems we're running low on wood. I'm going to have to harvest some more later. I won't do that on camera though. I'm not sure what to do next. Not sure at all. Let's set up the mixer. We're going to grab one of these, and doesn't need any power or anything, but I'm not sure where to put it. Let's put it over here to keep it out of the way. I'm going to put a plastic tank like that and a fluid hopper like so. Then we're going to put these in, because I don't want to move it to lose more dyes. So we're going to make the universal sensors. We need 5 purple and 3 light blue. So we need one of you. Oh. Well, that's not what I intended. 5 purple. I thought it was 1 click equal 1 sheet. And that's all our plastic. I could heat this to melt this down again, but I might need it for something. Maybe. Okay, so now I know only to input the fluid amount I need. So let's do this and this and get us a universal sensor. And this requires pressure to work, which we have here anyway. I'm not going to put it where it's supposed to go yet, but we can put it down here to have a look at it. So it requires above half a bar to work, and as you can see, it can't do anything right now because you need to put upgrades in it. And if we have a look here, Yeah. So here we can see we can put in a block tracker, which also needs a GPS tool. And we can put in a dispenser upgrade or an entity tracker upgrade. And these allow you to do different things. We look at the wiki page, which doesn't actually tell us a whole lot, which is a shame. So we actually need the relevant upgrades. Let's make the block tracker upgrade. If I can, I think I should have enough. Let's see, I need 8 iron. I do have enough. Great. So let's make some pressure chamber walls. And we're going to make the block tracker upgrade. No, that's not it. I want to go here. So I made these compressed iron blocks, by the way, by putting iron blocks into here. And to get them out, I had to change the filter from item name starts with to item name contains. Just so you know. Now let's get some lapis. Don't know where. Let's see, right here. And I also need a fermented spider eye, which I should have. And we get a block tracker upgrade. Now we can't do anything with this, unfortunately, because, well, we need a GPS tool as well. What the heck. I'll use the diamond on the pedestal. Because I would like to get this going. Where is the GPS tool? There you are. We need 4 red plastic. I should be able to do that. I have you. If I were to take a bit of lava and make a hole here and put the lava next to the mixer, hopefully this will doesn't seem to be heating it at all. That's somewhat disappointing. We could steal the vortex tube. temporarily. The flow to it is off anyway, and we'll put some isolation there to keep the heat in. Let's get rid of this and fill in the hole. Then we're going to put that like that, and need the input, the air pipe to face this way. Then we'll put a compressor there. Then we need some fuel. This should be able to heat it up to where it can smelt down that plastic so we can recolor it. And the fuel needs to go in here. Hopefully this will work. It is heating up very slowly. Very slowly. It is heating up. Now I don't remember what the... Oh, it's... The temperature for the item needs to go up to this arrow here. It doesn't tell me what temperature that is though, which is a little annoying. But it just doesn't matter. I will be right back as soon as this plastic has melted. Turns out it's 150 degrees. Apparently. So let's get some red plastic. And now we need a glass pane and a redstone torch. Should be simple enough. So glass pane, diamond. I get a GPS tool. Wish this wasn't so expensive, but oh well. Now we're going to take the vertex tube back, and we're going to break this and right click the thirsty again. Let's drink some water. Dang it. That'll do. I'm going to break this cover and right click the iron block with the GPS tool, then put the vertex tube back, and then I'm going to turn it around so it's facing the correct way. Then I'm going to grab this cover, jumping over here. We're going to grab this, and we are going to place it in place of this lever here. I'll put it here, should now have enough pressure to work. So now when we put these two in here, we can see this button unlocks. And if we go in here, then we want block and heat, and then we'll have 1000 degrees. So you can now see the sensor is working. Just uses 1 milliliter per tick, which is negligible. So now the vortex tube will be running, and the heat will be increasing in our system. Not sure how much it needs actually. Maybe 1000 is a little overboard. Let's go with 500. Like that. And now I'm going to wait for the heat to build up to 500, and our system should be going. This should be attempting to generate more pressure. And we can see the applied redstone is currently 0, which means there is no signal at all. So it's letting 7.5 bars through at most, but our actual pressure is a lot lower than that, so it doesn't matter, and max is 5 anyway, so it's not like we could handle 7.5 anyway. And there it went to over 500, and as you can see, the applied redstone now is 15. Threshold is 0. So this is now outputting a redstone signal. Don't have any dust on me right now, so if we put it here, we can see that. And so this is now off, and the tube will now shut down and stop generating heat. So we got up to 560 anyway, even though it's shut down at, or shut off the airflow at 500. So now the fluid compressor will build up the pressure in the tubes again until reach 4.5 bar, and then it will shut off. Now this will continuously drain some pressure, but it's worth it. I mean, we have a diesel compressor running, so it's not that costly to generate pressure. And we also now have a supply of gasoline. And right quick before I end the episode, because we have gone over the 30-minute mark, I have placed down our fluid heat generator here, and this runs on fuel. Now it says fuel, but what I put in here was actually gasoline. So gasoline is from Railcraft, and it is registered as fuel, which means it's equivalent to Buildcraft fuel, and the fluid heat generator happens to accept Buildcraft fuel, so we can run this on gasoline. And it also seems that this does indeed stop using fuel when it can't emit. So this stops accepting heat when the buffer is full, and this will not use fuel when it can't emit heat to this, which is nice. Let's move this over to here. Not that we're hard pressed for creosote oil over here. unfortunately, the mariculture blocks are kind of laggy when it comes to fluids. Apparently, I've noticed this with the cast as well. When fluids are moving inside these, they I drop quite a lot of frames, which is annoying. So, with that, I will say goodbye, and I will see you in the next episode.